Max, were you in here when Shaka was finishing up? Did you hear him at all?
No.
He was talking about you and how he really was raving about you and how you have a chip on your shoulder. He thinks that's one of the good things about you. Is that true? Would you agree with that assessment that you play with a chip on your shoulder?
For sure. I think that's kind of what helps me out is, like, I got to play with a chip on my shoulder, a little bit of an edge sometimes. And, you know, other guys on the team feed off that, play off me as well, which is just pouring yourself into the team and being a team guy, really. So.
Right up front.
For Tyler, Steve, really just, you know, obviously you guys were in control of double digits. They had their run. Just what kind of stood out most about obviously being able to push back when they kind of punched and leading that to the victory late in the second half?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a good team, so we knew that they were going to come out with a punch in the first half. So it was just keeping our poise in those timeouts that we had and kind of figuring it out what we needed to do to stop them. And so we figured it out, talked it out, and got it done.
Yeah, like Tyler said, we knew they were a good team. A punch was going to come, and we were. It was just all about how we were going to handle that, and we responded pretty well, I thought.
Jeff?
For Tyler and Steven, kind of along those lines, part of the response was to get some offensive rebounds. I know you guys have done a better job of that this year, but did you anticipate it would be such an edge today and the way it's been all season?
Kind of. The coaches have been on, Tyler and I and AJ, 3, 4, 5, about crashing the glass hard, and like you said, it's kind of shown this season. And we didn't really think any different was going to come this game. We were just going to crash and do what we do. So.
Right up front.
Again, for Tyler and Stephen, I mean, you know, Max hit 5 3-pointers, but, you know, that was really all that was going for you guys beyond the arc. I mean, does this show you that there are more ways that you guys can win than, you know, just an explosive 3-point shooting performance against, you know, a heavy underdog matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in the front court, we're doing a really good job of being physical, getting rebounds, finishing plays, and all of that. And it's not just me and Steve; it's guys coming on and off the bench. It's Carter Gilmore, it's Marcus Ilborg. Even if they're not really scoring, there's not a dip in that physicality, which is really awesome for us.
Go ahead.
For Max and for Tyler, has this stretch here, including Fort Myers, showed you maybe what you guys are capable of, and what would you say has stood out during this run to you guys about your team's potential?
I would say we definitely kind of know what was in front of us with these 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row, and it just shows kind of the team that we have. We had the belief, and we just got the opportunity to really put it out there and put it on display. And so we're gonna enjoy this one for the day, and we're gonna look forward to Michigan State here on Tuesday and keep getting better every single day of practice.
I mean, yeah, couldn't go off Tyler. Just the team's got so much poise, I feel like, this year. Moments start to, you know, get a little haywire, something starts to go a little south. You know, having a point guard like Chucky being able to reel us back in, settle us down. Next play, if that's, we got to get a stop, or let's execute this play to the best we can and run that. So, you know, just having a point guard out there that can control the game really helps.
Steve, right up front.
Max, just how soon could you kind of sense in that first half that you had it going, and when can you remember having a start like that, either going back to your Wofford days or pre-college or anything like that?
I always feel that. I always feel like that, whether it's before the game when I wake up, eat breakfast or whatever. So, but off to a hot start like that, it's been a while. Maybe even back to high school. We got to go before Wofford. So, but no, it was nice. It's fun to be out there with these guys, and it's enjoyable, especially when you win that.
Tyler, you guys had a big advantage on the free throw line today. I mean, you know, you were getting to the line more often too. I guess what went into, I guess, trying to exploit what, you know, they obviously got into the bonus pretty early.
I mean, yeah, we always want to get to the free throw line. Getting in the bonus is really a big deal. It was able to stop them from going out in transition, kind of put a pause on the play, but just being aggressive, not really shying away from the contact, knowing that we're going to get hit when we go up there, and just trying to go through it. And so not really complaining about a call or anything, going in there, being physical, playing Big Ten basketball.
Okay, we'll go Jim and Jeff. Go ahead, Jim.
Tyler and Steven, you guys played a lot of basketball with Brad Davison. Do you see some of Max in Brad and Max?
No, yeah, for sure. I see a lot of Brad and Max, but they're different players. Obviously, they do different things. Max does certain things better. Brad did certain things better, but they're both great players. And like you said, they're kind of the heart of our team, and we all know that. And Max did a great job tonight. He's been doing a great job all season.
Jeff, for the final question.
Tyler, I don't know if you noticed this, but you went out with your second foul with about 8:44 left in the first half, and it was a 6-point cushion. You sat the rest of the half, and it got up to 16 and eventually 13 at the half. Do you think that stretch illustrates what this team can do this year when one of its key players is out and it expands the lead.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it just shows that every guy on the team that really has no fear. They want to go out there, they want to play the best, and it's for the team. It's not really going out there looking for points. They want to get time and just help the team out. And so you saw that today with Marcus and Gilly going in there, doing the dirty work, getting some rebounds, passing it out, setting good hard screens, and we couldn't ask for anything more.
Okay. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We start out with the coach with some opening comments.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Obviously, I state the obvious here. The environment, the atmosphere, the fans were terrific. I think how we played, other than maybe the first 5-7 minutes of the second half, is how we kind of envision what this team can be. I think we've gotten better as the season has started here. And obviously, defensively for the most part, a pretty good job. And obviously Klesmit got us going in the first half. And, like I said, other than that little stretch where I thought we went away from throwing it inside and got stagnant offensively, which allowed them to get out and run a little bit and get some rhythm offensively. You knew they would probably make a run, too good of a team not to, and we opened the door enough for them to do that. So, but I'm happy with how we responded, and we're able to regain control of the game and finish it off. So, I think again another. I think these type of games are great for the state. The game of basketball in the state doesn't get enough attention, I think, and enough credit for how good the state is, all the way down to the grassroots level. And it's for the 2.5 hours today, we were able to put the state of Wisconsin front and center. And I think obviously we played well against a really good team, and happy for our guys. Questions?
Jeff?
Greg, you can look at a lot of numbers from this game, including Max's hot start, but how important in your estimation were two stats, second chance points, and the ability to not only get to the line, but make the majority of them?
Yeah, I think that's, Max makes all of our threes in the first half. We don't make a three in the second half. And I think this group has found, the offensive rebounding, whether it's Tyler, Steve, Gilly, AJ, John Blackwell. I mean, they've been opportunistic, and they've been more aggressive at going. Even Marcus picked up a foul trying to get one in the first half. So, those are second chance opportunities. And stating the obvious there, but anytime you can make those hustle plays to loose balls, get extra possessions, and then you mentioned getting to the line. I thought we got there, did a good job the first half. Second half, we needed to be there more, but that was going back to that first 6-7 minutes that I talked about, where you're not going to get fouled when the ball doesn't get inside the 3-point line. So, but able to get to that bonus and be at the free throw line down the stretch was important.
Go ahead.
Greg, do you
Jesse.
think? Hey, Greg, do you think this stretch, including Fort Myers, has shown you what this team is capable of? Obviously, there's a lot more season to go, but
Right.
And what do you think has stood out about why this team can be successful?
We've gotten better defensively. If you look back at Tennessee and Providence, now I didn't think we were physically or mentally engaged in the first 35 minutes, 25 minutes at Providence, but we were just too loose defensively, too spread out, not physical enough, maybe didn't understand how important that was at a high level. And I think they've also, I've talked to this group a lot about believing how good they can be. And I think sometimes I intentionally need to feed that because they hear so much negative from the outside that I got to counter the negative with a lot of positive. And I think now they believe. They believe in what our coaches have been talking about and kind of the vision of what we laid out way back in the summer for what we thought this team could be and how good they could be. And you still got to go do it. You got to go earn it, and you got to finish games. But I think there's, on the court we're better defensively, much better than we were a month ago. And then I think there's a growing belief of how good together this group could be.
Go ahead. Right here, Coach.
You alluded to those early second half turnovers. I mean, what did you guys do to clean that up? And I guess the second part is, does this kind of show you that, this team can win these types of games even when you're not shooting well, just with clean basketball?
Yeah, I mean, when you take care of the ball, they don't get fast break opportunities, and we can set our defense. So, you know, whether it was in a ball screen early that I thought Chucky should have just drug it across and started our action, or Max, you know, got a little wound up with the ball a couple times. But yeah, just settling down, making good decisions, and part of that comes with running better offense, putting more pressure on the rim. That relieves some of that perimeter pressure when they've got to help and double the post, and then we can get them caught in rotations, which we did later as we started to touch the post and play inside out, and then AJ's able to get to the, you know, drive closeouts and those type of things. So it's a combination. It's all related to each other. But yeah, you have to take care of the ball. I mean, that's very basic basketball if you want to play at a high level and have success.
Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Greg, you touched on just being happy with or proud of how the team responded. Just what did kind of stand out initially within that response right after Marquette's run, and how did the late play of Crowl or Chucky, whether it's on the glass, you know, passing defense from Chucky, just kind of show some of the veteran nature that can be shown from this team?
Yeah, I think I intentionally rode our vets down the stretch the last 8-10 minutes. I don't know if I subbed very little with John for AJ once in a while, just and Gilly for Steve. But yeah, I think they took ownership in those huddles. You know, whether it was the timeout that I called or the media timeouts, as you know, obviously we knew it was going to be a 40-minute. You know, we can't just play 20 minutes, and let's get back to doing what we do really well and what makes us good. So I think after we, you know, kind of caught ourselves there, and you know, I can talk about it in a timeout, and I can talk about it in the huddles, but they have to go. That's part of that earn and finish. They have to go produce, because I've told them several times, I can't talk your way into. I can't talk you into being a good team. You got to believe it and go do it. And when adversity comes, you got to go, you know, go back and attack it. And we didn't get that deer in the headlight look. I thought we responded, and part of that was I think the older guys in the huddle, you know, Tyler, Max, Chucky, were pretty vocal and got after some guys about how we needed to play, and they responded.
You got two up front and one in the back. Okay, go ahead.
And Marquette's a team that's been winning big, even though their rebounding hasn't been particularly good. Just how much did you kind of you're dominated the boards all day. How much was that an emphasis going into this game as something maybe you could explain?
I don't think it's opponent specific. I mean, if we can be aggressive going to the glass, we've gotten better doing that. I think we've picked our times to do it. I think we're getting, obviously Steve and Tyler have done a really good job, but I think we're getting, you know, some thrust on that end too from AJ just to keep balls alive. John Blackwell, you know, just hustle plays. Gilmore gives us some of that. So that's not necessarily an opponent specific thing. It's something, if we have opportunities, we want guys to be aggressive and attack the glass. But at the same time, we talk about don't chase rabbits. That's one of our I have a lot of little sayings, meaning we aren't going to chase it erroneously to somewhere where we end up giving up things in transition. So just being smart, and I think our guys have gotten wiser about when to and when not to, and obviously you can do that when you're better in transition defensively. Then you can turn your 4s and 5s, and sometimes your 3s loose to the glass, and they've been hungry. You know, that's one thing about rebounding. You can drill it, but it's still a desire and having a nose to go get the ball.
Jim?
Greg, Max plays with such an edge. Shaka brought up Brad Davison as a comparison. Do you think that's a fair one? And what does that do for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he brings in an emotional charge to him, you know. I think we've had several guys that have done that over the, you know, you think back to Gosser was kind of like that, maybe not as vocal. Showalter was that, but more vocal. Obviously Brad and what he did. But yeah, I mean, I think Max, I've always felt that Max down the stretch last year got more comfortable in his game at this level, and then that allowed his voice and the leadership to be exerted a little bit more. And then this year we've seen a pretty big jump in terms of, like I mentioned in those huddles, he gets after him more than I do sometimes. So, but but you got to back it up with how you play too. So he knows that because guys have held him accountable, and that's mark of a good team when the best coach teams are player coach teams. When they can get after each other and hold themselves accountable and take the constructive criticism when they get it from teammates and respond, that's the mark of a good team.
Right in the back, Coach.
Greg, after the RMU game, you were disappointed, I guess, in the defensive performance.
RMU? Oh, Robert Morris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compared to a couple weeks ago, how would you grade your defensive performance against a top 5 team?
We're better. I mean, we've gotten better. I'll go through and I'm sure I'll find several things on tape. I told them the other day in practice, I'm a really hard grader. You probably wouldn't want me as a professor in class. It'd be hard to get an A from me. But I think we have, as I mentioned earlier, we've gotten better from, even when everybody got all excited around here, we put up 105 against Arkansas State. We still defensively, to win at a high level against really good teams, we had to take steps forward. And, it bites a little bit more when you take one on the wrong side of the column, and guys learn from that and understand. But they've bought in. They understand how important just defensive execution, even in practice, our scout team does a great job. They play hard, but our guys take pride in starting there. It doesn't start when you get to a game. You have to be able to defend in practice consistently, and like I said, that's where I think the growth is taking place, is on the defensive end, and it started with how they've gotten after it even more in practice. Not that they weren't, but now they understand. They understand the hows and the whys better, and I think guys have gotten better individually. AJ Storr has really improved on both ends of the floor, and there's still, I can make a list of probably 100 things that he can get better at. But I told him the other day, I pull out tape 5, 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago. To where he is now on both ends, but defensively was one I knew he has an ability when he understands how and why and how important it is, and but he's one example just because I felt he's come so far in a short amount of time of how he's taken coaching and learning and been like a sponge, and we hold him accountable too. He knows he has to do it, and then you see a consistent incline in his production.
We got 2 more for Coach, one in the back and right up front here.
Greg, if the math is right, it looks like from Iguodaro, Jones, and Kolick, it's hard to hold those guys combined to 35 points, but your defense did that. Again, just from the talent side of it, from your side, what does it say about holding those 3 guys down to that, and what does it do for the future?
Well, I don't know what it does for the future because we'll worry about that when we get there. But it just shows, I think, their belief in what we're doing defensively and how they are connected better defensively than what we were 6 weeks ago, and and taking game plans and understanding, when we're going over on screens, when we're switching, when we're going under, when we're not switching. Those things they've really grasp onto that, so to speak, and taken pride in what we can be defensively. And I think that, obviously, there was a trend of getting better, I thought, but obviously the first game in Fort Myers with Virginia, I think that it obviously showed me, but more importantly, it showed them. And that's the thing. I can say things, our staff can say things, we can show, but they have to go do it, and then that creates a growth of belief. And that's where I think it really took hold, was in that first game in Florida.
Okay, final question right up front.
Some of those vets that you leaned on at the end of the game, they were a part of some collapses last season. Between SMU and a game like today, I guess, how much better are they playing in high-pressure situations like this?
Well, they're responding better, I think, and that's what we talked about, the finish, of getting to a point and then finishing. And if it's something we have to respond to and that adversity strikes, you got to respond to it better. And you maybe won't always get the same results, but the response has been much better than where it was. And part of that's just growth and maturity. They're another year older. Everybody's back off last year's team, and next year Tyler's the only senior this year. So it's just sometimes you got to go through those rough times to grow and get bopped around a little bit and figure some things out. Doesn't always happen overnight. I think what we're seeing is a result of what we went through last year and the growth that is starting to take place. And we got to keep pushing, though. We're not where we need to be and can be. I think this team has a chance to be really good consistently at a high level, and we got to keep pushing the bar. And that's what they do every day in that locker room and on our practice court. That's where it starts.
Terrific.
All good?
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Congrats on the win.
Thanks.